and Poseidon have in common? Let's just chat about what's going on currently. So when I think of paradise, I'm thinking of something like this in the background here. This island is in the Mediterranean. It's called Santorini. And as you can see, it's quite beautiful. That's my type of idyllic location. You've got the sun, the sea, good food, and obviously a good culture. So I wanted to talk about Santorini in particular, this island. Its real name is actually Thera, not Santorini, but for the Western consumer, we'll call it that today. With this island, it's come up in the news of late, and I thought it would be just appropriate to maybe just have a chat about something outside of all this politics, and go back and have a look at the human factor that comes in with some of these other news stories that don't get the coverage. So what you've got in the background is obviously an island that's in the Mediterranean. It's in the Cyclades, Cyclades, as you would otherwise call them, group of islands. So they're all pretty much the blue roofs with the white buildings everywhere you can see there. And I think they get about 2 million plus tourists there every year on a population of like 10 or 12,000. So that stay throughout the winter. Most people pack up and go and leave. But anyway, what's so prevalent going on at the moment? Well, they've had nearly 5,000 seismic activities in the last 48 to 72 hours. The most recent being about 4 days ago, they had a 5.3 magnitude earthquake. And as you can see by this chart up here behind me now, there is just all of these little dots are actually tremors that are happening now in the island of Santorini. So it's become a bit scary for the residents there and also the tourists that are sort of flocked there every day. So I just thought I'd just talk about it and give a little bit of my own perspective. I had the fortunate opportunity years ago to spend a whole summer on this island and helped out in a bar sort of cafe and made a lot of good friends and know a lot of the locals that are there. And I'll sort of touch on some places that I think as well later on, if you do still decide to go, would be worth taking a look at. But yeah, let's have a look at this earthquake issue at the moment. It's quite prevalent. Let's have a look at the history first of this area and this region. So in ancient Greece, earthquakes frequently shook the ground and devastated cities and temples. But time after time, people built and rebuilt prominent structures near dangerous faults. They had no choice. The land over there is very rocky. It's in a beautiful location. It's right on the Mediterranean Sea there. You've got the Aegean, Ionian Sea to the north, etc. So this place is beautiful. The climate is unsurpassed. And with that, it's very sort of rocky and jaggedy and hilly because of this volcanic and earthquake activity that's happened over the millions and billions of years. Earthquakes occurred often in the carbonate-dominated karstic landscape of the Aegean region and were well documented from the 6th through the 4th centuries BC. Ancient scholars like Plato and Aristotle actually spoke about earthquakes. So this region is very much accustomed to tremors and earthquakes, and obviously Santorini is unique as well because it has an active volcano, which a lot of people don't realise, in the centre of it, which exploded and blew out. And despite a lot of Western scholars' fantasies looking around in South America and other parts of America and Asia, etc., no, this is where Atlantis, the legend of Atlantis, is from. Okay, it's a Mediterranean story, and it comes from the Hellenic peoples of Greece. So it's sort of it gets a bit frustrating when you just see these so-called academics walking around fantasizing about these other civilizations as though they were part of this. No, it's a unique thing to this country and this location. But that aside, anyway, I've had a few experiences with earthquake tremors. My first experience was very young as a child, and if there's any Aussies out here watching, they'll definitely remember this if they're old enough. There was an earthquake up at Newcastle, and we were driving along, and we were in a car at the time with my family. We pulled up and went into a shop, and all of the items in the shop had fallen on the ground, but we didn't feel anything. And when we spoke to them, they said, yeah, well, I think we've just had an earthquake, but it wasn't in Sydney. It was actually 2 hours north, and a number of people died in that, it doesn't get the coverage, and there's a lot of Australians that wouldn't even realise or remember, things like that. But anyway, it's that was my first exposure. Since then, I didn't have too many experiences with tremors or earthquakes until more recently. So when I was in Greece, I definitely felt some tremors. Every now and then you would feel like a bit of the room shake for a second and then disappeared and dissipate. But it was never like super powerful. More recently, I'm currently sitting in Los Angeles, and this is another earthquake sort of capital of the world. And I have felt some quite violent ones here in the last sort of 6 months. There was one where the buildings in LA, surprisingly or unsurprisingly, are all made of wood and fibro cement. So they're not actually real structures as far as my mental sort of image of a building is. So you'll have like multi-story buildings and they're made of wood, so which can be a benefit. But when there's an earthquake, these buildings actually move quite violently left and right. So you'll definitely know it, and it can be quite alarming and scary. I've had it where, you know, you're asleep and next minute you just snapped left and right and wake up, and, you know, like your instinctual sort of response is shit, fear, what's happening, where am I going to go, what am I going to do? And yeah, so that's something to, I suppose, to think about if you're thinking about going overseas and going specifically to these islands coming up in summer. And I've got a close friend, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video, because I've got a close friend who's actually is booking a holiday to go to Santorini. So they're sort of in the process of it. They've already booked flights, they're booking hotels, and they're like, shit, should we go? Should we stay? So look, my advice is potentially you know, go, but go with caution, obviously, and have that in your mindset as to what are we going to be experiencing here, and we've got to be prepared. You know, I always tell people when they travel to travel very lightly. It amazes me how many people have these huge suitcases and they're carrying everything, including the kitchen sink. When if you need to move, or even if you've got a family, everyone should just have their, you know, pretty much a carry-on and a small bag, so that they can move around flexibly. You can get on a bus, you can get off a bus together. If you've got kids and they're old enough to sort of wheel their own bag, get them to wheel their own bags, because then your ability as the parents to monitor the situation is just increased tenfold. If you've got one parent trying to grab a bag and help the other parent, and you've got two little kids or something like that, and they're running around, well, you haven't got an eye on them, what they're up to, and, you know, and who else is around you. So definitely traveling light is something that I've sort of perfected over the years, and even more so more recently. Being basically carry on only. Even if I'm flying international, it's carry on only. And I've done that for a number of years. It just makes so much sense. You don't have to panic, oh, that bag, I've got to wait at the conveyor belt. That's another drama. You can just travel light, travel gear, and then, you know, just get going. That's my advice, especially in these islands, because when you come off the ferries or you come off the aircraft and you want to get a taxi or a shuttle or something like that, it almost becomes first in, first served. So traveling lighter and getting able to, you know, be on that vehicle and that transport, or booking a hotel. There's a lot of people that are sort of offering their hotels as you get off the ferry, potentially way cheaper than other areas. But again, that's another thing. So I sort of wanted to talk about the earthquake situation, because that's become topical, and also give some of my sort of tips for this island, because I have spent a lot of time there. So if you are going to go there, I definitely recommend it. There's a lot of people think, oh, it's just a romantic island, and, you know, there's nothing for the single person or groups of other people. There's something for everybody. Even if you're a solo traveller, you definitely will meet a lot of people on this island. It can become very busy, which is a bit of a downside, and the tourism is, you know, sort of exploded even since I've been there. When I was there was up to 16 cruise ships a day. I'm reading online that they're getting up to 26 cruise ships a day now. So that's a lot of people sort of crammed in. But things that you really need to do, you need to explore the island. Make sure you swim. There's several beaches that are really nice to swim at. There's a black beach, which is down in Parissa, which is a bit of a more economical area to stay. It's a bit further away, but the island, again, you can cover the entire island within a half-hour drive, so that's not a major factor. But there's good places to go where you can get sort of some value for money. And I'm just trying to think if there's another beach club sort of area where, if you can try and find one where you can sort of have lunch and get one of the chairs as part of the deal, if you get lunch there, then that works out a lot cheaper than actually just paying, you know, €5 or €10, whatever they charge you for a beach chair on some of these beaches. But otherwise, if you're at a hotel, if you get the right hotel like the one behind me now, like look at the views, you could be up there and, you know, spend some of your time up there as well. But also, so while I'm here, I'll just have a quick read of what the US Embassy and Consulate that's actually in Greece is advising at the moment. Location is Greece. Event, ongoing seismic activity in the vicinity of Amorgos, Santorini, Thera, that's the real name of it, like I said to you, Anafi, and Ios Island. Ios is a very popular island. I've been there as well. It's very popular with Australian and English and Irish tourists. So again, that would be another place worth visiting. But again, it's a bit of more of a younger crowd, that one, whereas Santorini is a bit more refined. The US mission in Greece alerts US citizens to a series of earthquakes near the Greek islands, as discussed. More than 200 were detected between these islands. They're talking about 4.5 magnitude. It's gone up to 5.3 as of yesterday. So it's increasing. And if you're living or travelling near any of those affected areas, follow instructions from local authorities and closely monitor the local media and emergency alerts. The following resources contain official information from the Greek Ministry of Climate, Crisis and Protection about steps. So here you've got a link as well with protection guidelines for earthquakes. So if we click on that and just open it and just have a quick look, it just says, look, be prepared. If you're indoors, fasten shelves, bookcases to the walls, remove from the doors tall furniture that could overturn and fall over. That's pretty obvious. Screw well fuel and water tanks and heaters to the walls because they've actually got a bit of mass to them, and obviously if they get moved they can topple over. Heavy objects, put them on the bottom shelves for the same reason. This stuff is, a lot of it's common sense, but some people, if they're on a holiday or travelling, they're not really thinking that. So don't put your suitcase up on a high shelf or whatever. Just keep everything on the little shelf or low to the ground. It might be worth noting as well when you're travelling in some of these little pensions and hotels is that there's usually a little switchboard in these rooms. So if you can at least identify where that is in case you need to click those circuit breakers and turn everything off. Who knows, if something starts sparking, you want to at least have an option and know where to go for that. If you need to call emergency whilst you're in Greece, what number am I going to dial? It's 112. So it's not, what's the American one? 911 or 000 back home. It's 112. So call them, and that will work with any phone that's got some sort of reception. Be equipped with portable radio with batteries and a torch. It might be worth, if you're travelling as a tourist, to at least just throw a little torch in your bag. First aid kit. If you're staying at a hotel, they'll have one. If you're outdoors, all the same rules apply. After the earthquake, make sure you've got like a bit of a meeting point. Most hotels are probably briefed somewhere where you should go out and it's open, maybe an open car park or something like that. And stay away from buildings and trees, electric and telephone cables. They can be quite powerful and obviously super dangerous, the electricity cables, so keep away from them. During the earthquake, stay calm, take cover. Do not attempt to leave the house. If you're inside a house, try and get under a door frame. If it's just you and there's a solid bathtub there, you've seen, that might be an option too, to dive in there and take cover there. But a door frame is usually the strongest part of the structure and got some support. Don't go out onto a balcony like it says here. That'd be asking for it. If you're in a tall building, move away from the glass and exterior walls. Again, I would just be going near the door jamb and just getting under that. Stay indoors until the earthquake stops. After the quake, be prepared for aftershocks. This is what is true about every sort of tremor that I've had an experience where it's been an earthquake situation, is that there's a lot of tremors and aftershocks after it. So you'll feel like these little bits of movement, and that's normal. So usually it's like these plates are sliding against each other and they're building up pressure under the Earth's crust. So once they sort of release that pressure, there's still sort of some aftershocks with that. Use your landline or mobile telephone only in emergency. Avoid the network overload. In case of a tsunami, this is potentially relevant for probably the flatter area of Santorini down near Parissa, but the rest of the island is actually quite elevated. So as you can see, it's up on cliffs and whatnot. So it should be well out of danger of a tsunami. But if you're on a low-lying beach or something like that, be prepared to move. And if you do feel a good shake or a good earthquake while you're sitting on the beach, don't just sit there and lay down. Get your bag, get everything up, and then start to get to a more elevated place. Just go to a restaurant up north. Maybe nothing happens, but at least you've moved away. If anyone's seen the footage of that tsunami that happened in Thailand several years ago, well, then you see how fast and powerful that sort of rushes in. Within, it took a long time for it to, there was like water had drawn out to sea for a long time and then built up all this momentum and came back in. So definitely just, take your time, get to higher ground and just wait it out. And once once it's all clear, then go back about your holiday. So whilst I was in that island, I had the chance to sort of explore things like food, drink, and some of the scenery and things to see. So I'm just going to bring up something that I would definitely recommend, which is sort of like a bit of a hidden gem, and it doesn't seem to have too much, if at all, even if its own website. So this place is called Kritikos Taverna, and this place is in the middle of Santorini, and it serves, if you're a meat eater and you like good salads, this place is for you. And it's basically what you would call horiatiki fagitos. It's like village sort of food and homemade. So people in Crete are well known for their cooking prowess and their cuisine. And these, obviously, Kritikos these people are from Crete, but they live in Santorini, and they've got this tavern that's in the middle of the island. And a lot of people don't know about it because they don't advertise. So if you can, try and get a taxi or something like that one of the days, or if you're riding one of those little motorbikes or four-wheelers, whatever you want to hire, then definitely go and have a look. And some of this food, if I can bring it up, let's see, I'm not sure if it'll open, but they'll bring out like a whole plate of, one chop and potatoes, and you just order sort of several of these mezes type plates, and you can share it around with each other. So just order a few of them, and you're going to have a great meal. And the best part about it is it's not expensive at all. So I recommend you guys making a day of it and going to this Kritikos Taverna if you get a chance. If you want to go for something a bit more fine dining, there's a restaurant in Ia, which is Ia is another town, is where everyone goes to watch the sunset. So this is a more a la carte sort of area of Santorini, and you'll pay a premium to stay in that area. Obviously the hotels are, pretty much all five stars, overlooking the caldera, overlooking the cliffs. But this place is called Pelikanos Restaurant. So if you get a chance, go to this restaurant. It's got beautiful views. The owner is Alexandros. And his last name is Pelikanos, so you won't be able to miss it. And go up there. He's such a lovely person, and you'll have the entire caldera. You've just got to find it. It's a little bit harder to find the entrance. This little clip here sort of shows the location, and then you'll see as you're walking through the streets, just here, there's the entrance there on the left. So just looking for that 360 view, go up the stairs, and then you're just going to have a great meal, perfect views, and good hospitality. So I definitely recommend that you go and see Alex while you're up there, and put that one on your list as well. And at the same time, you want to be going and watching the sunset in Santorini. So do that, and you won't see a better sunset anywhere in the world. Maybe Ayers Rock is a close sort of on parallel with Santorini in Australia, but definitely looking at the sunset from Ia is an amazing experience. And I can just look it up here now. If I just put up sunset Santorini, you'll see there'll be so many videos of it. All right, and then when you get up onto Ia, then you're going to see a sunset that's unbelievable. So then you're going to go and see this sunset. The thing about the sunset in Ia is that all the tourists sort of go up and get the best positions they can early on, so they can sort of be seated and then start watching the sun go down. You can see people will be just standing like that, sitting up there on some beautiful ruins, and everyone's just waiting with their lenses and watching this sun go down. And that's in Ia, that's near Pelikanos Restaurant. So you could probably book an evening meal up there, go and see the sunset, or do it in reverse, do lunch and then go and see the sunset. Potentially gets cold up there at night because the islands get windy, but then you can see that beautiful view as you're sort of sitting up there. And literally you'll get like thousands of 2,000 to 3,000 people lining these sort of rooftops and houses and that every afternoon watching the sun go down. So definitely something that you need to put on your list and watch that beautiful sunset. And it's a bit of a magical sort of time because everyone sort of waits right till the sun goes right down and then they just start clapping and cheering. So you'll enjoy that. So put that on the list. Pelicanos restaurant, see the sunset in Ia. What's my next one? Oh, my next one is, okay, nightlife. Fira. Fira is the main town, Fira, in Santorini. It's right in the middle. And this is a bar that I'd recommend. There's actually a couple of bars that I'd recommend. This one is a Scottish bar. It's called the Highlander. So if you get a chance, call in there and have a drink. And these guys as well, they're very friendly and, very accommodating. So it's a family-owned business. So if you go into the Highlander bar, which is in Fira, grab a bit of a drink, and then you can walk around all the little cobblestone streets of Fira, which is the middle sort of town area. So put those on your list. They're just a few things that I sort of remember from being there. Wanted to bring it up because it's topical now, it's in the news, and we sort of just seem to get lost in all of this political stuff at the moment where everyone's talking about, whether you supported the current people that are in power or the other people that were there previously, and everyone's just so tied up and consumed with this at the moment that there's a whole other world going on, outside of that. And there's people that are planning holidays, they're planning trips, and they want to see something new. And if I can sort of maybe just have a bit of a chat about it and talk about something, then give you a bit of education and a few sort of hidden tips. Even down the bottom here, that little port where they're showing now, there's a little fish restaurant. From memory, I've been down there and I've eaten there as well. There's so many things to do in Santorini. Make sure you sort of watch that sunset, like I said. Have a swim pretty much every day. There's gyms in Fira as well if you want to go and have a workout while you're there. Just walking through Fira and just grabbing souvlaki with potato chips is heaven while you're up there. Another place worth sort of mentioning as well, if you want an a la carte, too expensive for my tastes to stay there, but let me just show you this. This is the Grace Hotel bar, and another place that's worth going to, too expensive for me to stay at, and probably most people out there because it costs you thousands of euro a night, but it is so idyllic, the location, that you can actually walk down there, find this hotel and go and have a cocktail in the afternoon or the evening, have a swim and a cocktail there. And as long as you're sort of well represented, and it's probably not a place for kids, but if you're a couple that's maybe on a honeymoon or something like that, or traveling, then definitely have a look at this place. This is Grace Hotel, and a friend of mine at the time, he was the main barman there. So when I got a chance, I'd go down and, you basically go down these stairs and then you'll go to the bar, and you've got that view. And it's got that hike. You can see that sort of peninsula sort of thing sticking out directly in front there. And this place is, again, another one where you could see the view, but you could go and get a nice cocktail, and very picturesque. And I'll show you, they've got this infinity pool, which is just about to come up now. And it's absolutely stunning. So if you, by all means go there. If you have a look at that previous image, let me just go back here. And that open area, see that island that's up here in the middle? That is the actual active part of the volcano. So that whole thing was one big island. It's pretty well known that it just exploded, in ancient times. But a lot of people don't realise that it's actually still smouldering in the centre. So they do day trips out there. I've never went out across to do a day trip on the middle part. And to be honest, I'd be actually hesitant to do that. I think this thing is still active. It's still dangerous. There was a tragedy probably in the last sort of 24 months, maybe a bit longer, in New Zealand, where all these tourists went to an active sort of part, what they thought was a dormant volcano. It erupted and it maimed and killed some of the tourists. So that'd be just a horrific way to perish in that sort of heat and fire. So I'll probably keep a bit of a distance, maybe get a boat and sail around it, but don't take a tour. But whether or not you want to go and explore it depends how how keen you are, but yeah, that's an option as well. But now we'll just show you the infinity pool at this hotel. We'll come up in a second. And so here's the pool and this is the bar. So the bar's underneath that location down the bottom, and all of these chairs and tables, and it's always relatively sort of quiet, beautiful mood, and the scenery and the location is just excellent. So I definitely recommend that if you get a chance to go down and come down to this part of the this hotel and come down here. You can see like they're serving there down the bottom here, and obviously having a swim and all that sort of stuff. But that is exactly what it looks like. So the beautiful thing about this place is it doesn't need AI. It doesn't need anything to make it look unbelievable, because when you're actually there, the place is unbelievable. Beautiful wine list, unbelievable service. And you, like these guys are doing, just have a cocktail. Go down there, Grace Hotel, just outside of Fira. You'll go for a walk, and if you want to have something to eat, have something to eat. But that's pretty much what I've got just to chat to you about today. Is just chatting about that sort of issue that's going on in Santorini at the moment with these earthquakes. And my advice is, if you are going to travel, then obviously go there and be aware. 112 is your number for emergency services. Another thing to keep an eye out with Santorini and a lot of the main islands in particular is they have had a bit of a migrant sort of influx with what we call gypsies. So every now and then, you won't see them that often, but every now and then you'll see them, and they'll sort of loiter around tourist areas. So just be very careful with your bags and belongings that you don't get pickpocketed. Unfortunately, they give the local citizens a bad name, because people just mistake them for locals and think, I was there one time, and I was in Greece and in Santorini actually, and here's these two, I think they were Dutch, middle-aged to elderly couple, just coming out in despair. Oh, I've lost my wallet's just been taken out of my bag, blah blah blah, in a tourist location, and 1,000% it was one of these gypsies has taken it. And I had to help them because I just felt so sorry for them. Just sort of escorted them and said, look, here's the local police, I'll make a report and go from there. Look, it is an island. The police do try to do their best, but it's very hard as well. They're sort of understaffed and resourced on a lot of these islands. So you've really got to be sort of self-sufficient when it comes to those things. Don't let your guard down, and make sure you've got your bag zipped up and, clutching it at all times. Don't go and swim in the beach and leave your bag just sitting on your towel. If you can, go to one of these areas where you actually do pay some money for the chairs. You think it's expensive at the time, 5-10 euros, whatever they charge for the day. Sometimes they can charge 20 if you're in Mykonos, but you will get some sort of protection there as well. There's always people walking up and down, and if you were to go for a swim, you can actually go and speak to the person that's got the bum bag and say, listen, can you keep an eye on my bag while I'm away, or something like that, and they'll do it. They'll keep an eye on it. So yeah, just bear that in mind as well. But that's about all I've got for you today. The only other thing I wanted to do was just to touch on a bit of a word for safe travels. So I'll just try and find that. Just wanted to, whilst we're finishing up with this clip, is just a quick word on safe travels. Should I go? Should I not? That's sort of the nature of this video, and hopefully if you like it, I've got heaps of stories and plenty of information and local knowledge when it comes to sort of travelling around Europe. I've done it a few times, sometimes on a tour, sometimes solo, the benefits, and sometimes I've booked in advance, sometimes I haven't. Some of the benefits, pros and cons of that would be worth probably discussing as well. So if you want me to, I can sort of go off on a bit of a travel advice going through Europe and sort of nominate some different countries like Italy, France, Germany, spend a bit of time there, and the do's and don'ts and what I've experienced, and the pitfalls and the obviously the amazing things. The history and the sights are unsurpassed in my opinion. So many civilizations and cultures originate from these regions, so there's a lot of history there, rich history that's worth sort of exploring, and beautiful food, the ocean, scenery, wineries, all of these things are available obviously in Europe, and that's why it's so popular. But just there, for those that are travelling, just this quick Proverbs 3 323,26. You'll travel safely. You'll neither tire nor trip, because God will be right there with you. He'll keep you safe and sound. So yeah, so just be conscious, have a bit of faith as well, and be centered. I suppose that's the main sort of thing. And if there's anything you want to ask or any advice, we can just keep going. There's some other things I want to talk about as well as we go on this sort of, I suppose it's a bit of a vlog that it's becoming, is, you know, there's different things about when I think back and when I was younger and, you know, joining organisations and the first day, the first week, how to sort of orientate and fit in. And then what about when your, you know, original career expires, and is there a chance to sort of rebuild and have a second career, and is there such a thing as being too old, you know? And yeah, I would like to sort of share a few of these things and tell some first-hand experiences. So that's pretty much it. I'll speak to you guys soon. Hopefully the glare has been fixed a little bit more. I can see a bit of shadowing behind me, but I'm working on the lighting, so bear with us and we'll get there soon. All right, you take care. Speak to you.